Helen Henwood is going to come up and introduce our speaker.
Today. She is with the Humane Society of Pinellas as a volunteer coordinator and outreach manager. And Rachel joined us 4 years ago as a volunteer, and she did so much wonderful volunteer work that she is now a staff member as volunteer coordinator and outreach. This is her second career, and I will tell you one thing that is very interesting about Rachel. She had a 35-year career as an attorney, working in different parts of the world. So she's got a lot of a fascinating background and lots of fun to work with. So Rachel, Rachel's step.
Thank you all very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you, Helen. I appreciate it. I'm going to make sure I'm in front of the screen here, and is the microphone on? You all can hear me? Excellent. I'm going to try and wake up my computer first. Okay, perfect. For some reason, when I go to the actual slideshow, it shows a beach scene. So we're just going to walk through it this way. It seems easier. So as Helen said, my prior career was as a lawyer, and I have to say, after having been in front of judges and juries for over a decade, you are probably some of the kindest faces I've seen looking back at you. You've not been forced to be here, and you're happy to be. And I thank you for being here, because without people like Helen and you, the Humane Society of Pinellas could not do what it does. We have been in this area for 75 years, as you can see, helping animals, and we will continue to do so as long as we possibly can. And that's how we do it, is with people like you. The new facility we're in, which I'm going to show you in a minute, was made possible solely by local donations. Just in case you didn't know this, we don't get any money from the National Humane Society, okay? We are local only. So if you give money to the National Humane Society, that's fine. I'm not encouraging you not to. But if you want to have a truly local impact, we're your folks. And believe me, we use the money very wisely. So this is what we're all about. We're trying to prevent animal homelessness, and we're trying to make sure animals can live a life free of cruelty, suffering, and also homelessness. Our values are compassion, engagement, community, and respect, and we carry that through all aspects of the shelter, from how we care for the animals to how we care for our volunteers to how we treat our donors. I mean, we try and make sure that everybody knows how appreciative we are of the help you give us. In fact, last quarter, the numbers are my volunteers gave enough hours to replace 14 full-time staff members. So that's how we can do what we do with as little funding as we have. And I'm not saying we don't have money, but we can always use the financial support and time. And also, if you've got towels or extra food, we got donation bins on the porch, so we can always use that. What I just launched the other day is to make sure that none of this goes to waste. I'm having volunteers also distribute our extra blankets, towels, etc., to homeless shelters. So anything we're not able to use, we're paying for. So we believe that charity pays itself forward as well. So we're a charities charity. Oh, you're gonna help? Thank you very much. Just over. I think over works. This is the facility I was just talking about. The Showerman family gave us a fabulously generous donation that let us break ground. We had our grand opening back in December of 2024. We currently have 16,000 square feet of space. That's just slightly smaller than a Costco. And we are rated to a Category 5 hurricane. We actually have generators downstairs that are powered by the gas system, natural gas. So anything short of a zombie apocalypse, we can survive. We used to have to evacuate all of our animals in the approach of a hurricane, and that was a huge task. So this way we can actually be a shelter's shelter. In fact, during Milton, we were taking animals in. We took a cockatiel in, and one of our staff members ended up adopting it because the parents had to evacuate and leave us their animals. Next one, please. And I did miss on the prior screen, we have capacity for 38 dogs, 70 cats, 12 plus small creatures. Right now we're out of bunnies, but we do still have some guinea pigs. So if you want to see some cuties, come on by. We are in 2024. Now, remember, we've only been in that building since December of last year. So this was all before we had the new facility. We were able to get almost 1,500 pets adopted. As I said, there is the random cockatiel in there who really doesn't count. Now, at that point in time, our average length of stay was 7 days. Dogs were 9, cats were 5. Now, of course, that's an average. The cute kittens, I mean, they're there for about 15 minutes, and the cute puppies the same. And good Lord, if we get a small dog like a Chihuahua, there's a line out the door, which is a wonderful thing to see. Now, to get our animals ready for adoption, we sometimes use foster homes, especially with the neonatal kittens that need to be fed every 2 hours. We have a fabulous crew. And 2024, we had almost 900 pets cared for in foster. I remember hearing at one point we had 151 kittens out at various homes. We have a pet pantry program. Once again, I said we pay it forward. My volunteers at the pet pantry handed out over 30,000 pounds of food. That was all from donations. And that's not just the hurricane relief stuff we gave out. We've got one group, very special. They just showed up yesterday, Bindy's Buddies. They got their dog Bindi from us. When the dog passed away, in its honor, every month they go out and raise food donations. Yesterday, they dropped off 800 pounds. Okay, and a couple of weeks ago, my volunteers were thrilled when I told them this. Chewy gave us over 20,000 pounds of gear and food. And I had volunteers at the shelter moving 1,600-pound pallets of food around. So this is the kind of stuff that we're attracting, and it's the kind of stuff we need. A lot of that food has been handed out at the pet pantry, and we've given it to other rescues because we do believe in sharing the wealth. We also have what's called the Senior Pet Connection Program, where people are on a list and my volunteers get their orders every quarter and have the food delivered from Amazon. The requisites for both those programs are slightly different, but we're trying to fill the gaps and make sure, key point, that people can keep their pets in their homes. It's not just enough to handle them once they're in the system. We'd like them never to get there. Next one, please. This is some of what we do to give back to the community. We have humane education classes. We're trying to give those once a month. And we have various subjects. The one we did last month was cats. Before that, we did hurricane preparedness. I believe dogs is coming up next month. We have behavior consultations. We're currently between behaviorists, but we are going to start those again as soon as we have a full-time one, because that's another aspect of keeping the animals at home. If you have a dog who's starting to show problem behavior, or a cat who's just being itself, you might want to talk to our behaviorist rather than rehoming. Public training classes, same idea. Keep your dog under control in public, and we're happy to help you learn how to do that. Again, I talked about the pet food pantry, the Senior Pet Connection, the foster program. Hospice is where people take animals who are in their last, 6 months or a year. We try and provide support to them from the shelter, but they take the animal to live out its days in comfort in a home. Pets for Patriots is awesome. That is a program we partner with where veterans can go to their website, apply, and when they're approved, they bring us the paperwork, and Pets for Patriots pays the adoption fees. They cover it so the veterans can get their pets. Care for Life, something I'm very interested in because I never had kids, and I have 5 tiny serial killers sharing my house with me at the moment. I also had 5 on the plane with me when I moved back from Europe. Now that's a full day of fun. The Care for Life program is where you put in your will the Humane Society, and there are certain terms you have to know. But you can always talk to us about those. And then when you pass away, your animals will be taken care of. That's something I always tell people. It's important to have a plan. When you have pets, have a plan. Community vaccine clinics where people who are lower income can bring their pets for a $10 wellness check. They get their vaccinations as well. And we also do low-cost microchip. This is kind of from my volunteer presentation, so skip that. I'm just not sure where. Now,
Next one over.
oh yeah, this is a fun one for you guys to get familiar with. If you're ever out and about, we'll be at places where you can visit us. You can see us out on the streets. There I am on the street in St. Pete with someone much taller than myself. So we do puppy yoga at the dog bar, we're at the Pride Parade, we're at golf courses get rescued. What we're trying to do is make sure we get the word out about this organization and all the good work it does. Sometimes we even take animals and they get adopted. We had 5 kittens go home from Petco the other day, and we're going to be at Fitzgerald Subaru on the 18th with some adoptables. So you ought to come by and see us there. Walk for Whiskers is one of our big events that was just a couple weeks ago in Pioneer Park at Dunedin. You might have seen us out there. And our annual Pause for a Cause Gala is coming up this Saturday. So if you are free, you ought to buy a ticket and come see us. That's always fun, and we have fabulous stuff up for auction. Okay, next one. This is all irrelevant.
No, we went.
You can just go to the last slide. So this is something I just show the volunteers because I like to be funny. And Bert is an interesting story, though, because he was my neighbor's cat. And he and his brother Ernie, she adopted them and then she had them declawed and then she passed away. So these are not cats that would have done well in the shelter environment. So they came to me, and now he's my volunteer hairdresser. So I encourage all of you to support the Humane Society of Pinellas and all of its good works. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, I don't know how much more. Okay, sure.
You probably don't know, but I'm curious, what percentage of your adoption families end up as new owners?
End up what?
End up as new owners?
New owners of.
Yeah.
Oh, like the foster family.
Yeah. I always tell people if you're going to be a failure, a foster family is the best kind to be. But it's kind of, I don't know the exact statistics on that, but I know it is fairly high, just because they're so cute. I mean, you know, when you're fostering a kitten, I don't know how the kitten people get back, but oh, and that's an interesting thing though to bring up, because one of the things that we always let people know is the cost of owning animals is something you've got to think about before you take one on. And I've got statistics from the Human Animal Bond Research Institute. Unfortunately, and this is why it's so important to keep organizations like ours running, the cost of dog ownership has gone up 49% since 2020. Vet services have gone up 56%, food and treats 46%, and that's not just dogs. Let me tell you, I feel like I have to take out a second mortgage when I go to PetSmart for 5 cats. But on the other side, their study recently showed that pet ownership saves $22.7 billion in healthcare costs. Your better overall health, you've got mental health improvements, reduced loneliness, reduced obesity, infection prevention, and as I pointed out earlier, almost 700 million savings in support for veterans with PSD. That's why that Pets for Patriots program is so important. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Did I miss where your location? Yeah,
Oh, see, it's the little things. We are at 3040 State Road 590. It's right there at the corner of McMullen Booth and 590. It's a big blue building, and when I'm sitting out there in the coffee in the morning, it looks a bit like a retirement home, but it's not. So it's a wonderful facility for the animals. And one thing just so you know, one thing that some people ask is, where do we get our animals? Since we are trying to have as big an impact as possible on the local community, we get about 60% of our animals from Pinellas County Animal Services because we want to take the burden off them. We get about 20% of them from other shelters, and I believe we do try and make sure that we, favor the ones that have shorter time frames for their critters, because we want to get as many saved as possible. And then we also get 20% from owner surrenders. So it does happen. We also offer a program on the website called Home to Home. So if an animal isn't necessarily a candidate for the shelter and it's already got a home, but it may be a little tenuous, we let them list on our website and get them rehomed that way. So we try and offer people alternatives to bringing the animals into the shelter whenever possible. Okay.
Support you at all, or they have their own?
No, they have Pinellas County Animal Services. And that's something people don't really understand because they're coming to us all the time with strays, and we are by law not allowed to take strays. That is because, unfortunately, I'm not going to teach a law seminar here, but because we treat animals like property, it's like a car that gets towed away. You have to break the chain of title. So they have to go to Pinellas County Animal Services for a stray hold. Another important point, chip your dog, because if it goes to Pinellas County Animal Services with identification, collar, chip, whatever, 5 days before it goes up for adoption again. If it doesn't have identification, you've only got 48 hours, 2 days. Once again, Pinellas County Animal Services isn't going to kill them because they're also no kill to the extent they possibly can be. But it's important, if you want to get your dog back, make sure they're chipped and make sure that chip information is up to date. That's a huge problem. Yes, we both offer the same services, but ours are slightly different because they have to take everybody. If somebody goes to Pinellas County Animal Services, short of them being 600 or 700% over population, they have to take them all. We are more selective, but we do try and choose animals. You know, once again, we don't get the beauty queens. We had Carl, the 10-year-old blind pit bull that we found a new home for. I mean, we've got some great success stories with what I would say, less adoptable dogs. We took King in because he had a 7-pound tumor hanging off his face. We had a specialty surgeon come in, take the tumor off. It was not malignant. And King is now in People magazine because one of our construction workers adopted him, and that little meet cute story made the news. It also happened during a hurricane. So he took him home to foster and failed. So that's one of the stories. Any other questions? Yes.
Go on Google or Bing, search dog dancing. It's a much more prevalent competition in Europe where there's profs.
Yeah.
They do dog dancing content. You will be stunned at what people have been able to train dogs to do. And they play the music, and these ladies have dogs that are out there jumping and moving and sitting.
I've actually seen people dance with. We had a huge Great Dane that wanted to waltz in the lobby with one of our staff members. He didn't know he was as big as he was, and he has got his feet up on her shoulders, and they're kind of waltzing around.
It's not usually up on the person. She's
right
down doing things relative to the person moving, and it's just unbelievable the way they can train a dog. It's just, if you work at it and you do the proper training and like training.
Now, if you want to know how to train a cat, I have one word for you. Forget. You'll never forget it. You'll never get it. Yes, ma'am.
To say I look like you, but I'm stunned that Charlie told us.
Well, personally, I spend the time looking at kittens on a Roomba. If you've never Googled kittens on a Roomba, you have to go do that. I mean, it will go 45 minutes later.
Oh, I'll never get through this, or it's tough today, or it's raining, it's overcast. You know, the roof leaks, the gutters are bad, anything. I get my car service in July. It'll lift your spirits.
Well, and I have to tell you, after 35 years of practicing law, my view of the human race was less than sterling. But I realized after volunteering with this organization that the small group that loves animals and wants to support them are my tribe. So I came out of retirement basically just for this group. And if I can use my somewhat unique skill set, as Liam Neeson likes to call it, to speak for the animals, I certainly intend to. And I appreciate your attention and your time today. And I thank you for inviting me. And I thank you, Helen. She's a huge support.
Excellent job. Thank you so much, Rachel. Appreciate it. Any of you may know I have a Black Lab rescue. It's a Black Lab Great Dane, 130 pounds. I was walking in past the hospital the other day, and the volunteer coordinator came out and introduced herself and said, "Hey, we have a PAWS program. Would you like to have your dog involved in the PAWS program?" And I said, "Man, he's the reason you have patients. You don't want him as a PAWS program."